3, put Norfolk at the start of your message. Taylor Swift has announced that she's got a new album out in October. It's called The Life of a Showgirl, and it's going to be releasing copies of the record on cassette, tape, as well as vinyl, and it comes as sales of the music format of cassette have risen in the last couple of years, along with the re-popularity of the likes of vinyl and some CDs as well. So amongst this age of social media and streaming, why are we listening? And our listening has gone back to the old ways of listening to your favourite song. Cerys Hubbard is a music blogger from Norwich and runs Dead Pop Mag Society. Joins me now. Morning, Cerys.
Morning.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm great. It's nice and it's sunny outside, which is good for the mood, you know.
Yeah, it livens you up. It livens you up.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any cassettes?
I've got a couple that have been handed down to me, and I've bought one new, and that was about 7 years ago, and that was because it was a limited edition Pink Blossoms one. So
nice.
Yeah.
Do you still have the device to play them on?
I've got one of them like hi-fis, you know, like them big hi-fis where you have like the vinyl and then you have the cassette player, and then there used to be a multi-track CD player in it because it was my dad's from back in the day, and he sort of stopped playing around with it, and it was like, you can have this in your room. So I've got this big like hi-fi system with the big speakers and everything, but then the multi-track CD player broke, and so that was like a connected thing, so we had to chuck it out, which was really sad. So RIP.
So the cassette, do you think the cassette now is officially coming back? If Taylor Swift is releasing an album on tape, is it fair to say that it's back?
I don't know whether it's just a collectability thing, because I like having them, but I don't really reach for a cassette. I think there's some people, they go for it. There's a big, huge like nostalgia community online. People are really into, you know, vintage and vintage finds and stuff. And like some people do have these like old vintage Walkmans that they carry around. But I do think it's quite rare. And I talked about it very recently in a blog post that there is this whole thing of artists at the moment, they're really pushing for formats and different variations of formats and vinyl variations. And I think it is, I mean, not to say that Taylor Swift is going to struggle to chart, because, you know, she is like the world's biggest artist, but like, and she doesn't really need the money. But it is kind of a bit like, I do think that doing all of these extra variations, they are kind of a way to boost their sales and boost the charts, you know.
And it's a good thing it's a good trend to hop onto.
Yeah.
It must be more expensive a hobby though.
Yeah, especially with vinyl, I think in particular, because it is a lot more expensive, and I think that's why a lot of people back in the day went towards cassettes, because they were a lot more compact. You know, you could stick them in your car even if, you know, it chewed it up in the process, but you know, there's kind of, it was just more portable, and they were a little bit cheaper. You know, my parents talk about that, you know, buying cassettes over vinyl after a certain point, because they could take them around with them and that, and they were just a little bit more affordable. But I think for me personally, I prefer vinyl, because I think it's bigger. You can look at the cover a little bit more, you know, they're a bit more colourful. I mean, you can get coloured cassettes, but you know, they're always, I don't know, vinyl's a bit more prettier.
It's a little piece of art. It's a very tactile, nostalgic thing to physically hold a piece of vinyl in your hands.
They look a bit prettier as well on a shelf.
That's true.
Yeah,
they do indeed. Now, it's also the thrill of the search as well, because I think with streaming, it's very easy to go, oh, I'm going to listen to this song, press play, and you have it immediately. Whereas if you're going out to find it, and you maybe don't know you're going to look for it, and you discover it, that thrill of being in a record shop and going, oh, they've got this.
I love doing that. I did that very recently. I went into Beatniks on Magdalen Street, and I managed to find A Hero's Death by Fontaines DC in there for like £13, and like you've got like HMV that will probably sell it for about like 25, you know. And then I think I bought Lamborghini Girls album, which was new this year, in there, and that was coloured and came with a little bonus CD, and you get fun little features like that, and I think that's what makes it so much more worth it.
Do you still collect CDs as well?
I can't remember the last time I bought a CD. I think it's more vinyl I like to invest into, but I was always buying CDs when I was younger. I grew up, I think, with CD. I was like the CD generation. It would be for Christmas every year, it would be I'd get a load of CDs, or I think it was more I had them bought for me than I went out and bought them, I think, when I was a kid. And then I think I got more into album buying myself when I got into vinyl.
Nice. And how many vinyls have you got, do you think?
Do you know what? I can't even count.
Are we talking like a wall here?
It's like a whole, like the IKEA Kallax units. Mm-hmm. I've got about 3 that are full. Some of them are like I've inherited from people, and then some of them I've like bought myself. I say some of them, a lot of them have been bought by myself, but yeah.
Can you remember your first
vinyl I ever bought? Was the 25th, it's a pressing, like a proper, it was the 25th anniversary edition of Leisure by Blur.
Oh, nice.
And I've actually got it signed by Dave Rowntree, because he gave my old school a drum kit, and I completely freaked out.
That's gonna be that's gonna be worth something in the future. That's gonna be worth something now.
Yeah.
Is it one of those items that you dare not play because you don't want to scratch it at all?
I do play it. I think I've got like quite a few of the Record Store Day ones as well, which are quite special as well. Record Store Day is quite a big thing, and I think that's good because it supports independent businesses, which I'm all about, especially in the music industry.
And then going back to the tapes with Taylor Swift, she's not the first person to do this though.
No. There's so many artists that I think have a tape now. I don't know if many people just specifically buy a tape. I know that I think it's more of a collector's thing, because people want to buy every format that an album has.
So it's one for the fans, right? The deep fans. They want to own everything this person does.
Yeah, I think definitely cassette. I think cassette will definitely be more of a fan thing. I don't know many people that specifically listen to cassettes or would choose a cassette over vinyl.
No. Tell us more about Dead Pop Mag Society.
So Dead Pop Mag Society kind of came about because I found that music journalism was kind of lacking something that of sort of back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, when you had like your smash hits and like your Top of the Pops magazine, because I grew up reading like Top of the Pops magazine and I always found them really fun. And then I went on to like read Q when I was about 14, 15, and it was a little bit more serious, a little bit more chunky, and I wanted to bring back some of the fun, some of the slang, kind of just make music journalism a lot more fun and a lot more poppier. So I set it up when I was at uni, and it's just sort of grown into more or less of like a written thing now, and I now do a lot more like reels and kind of visual content on Instagram. I did something very recently that kind of got quite big on TikTok, where I did like a little build a gig graphic where you get like a budget of £100, let's just say, and for like £50 you get a massive headliner. I mean, to be honest, if we'd think about this realistically, you're not going to be able to get Oasis for £50, let alone £100.
No,
but like, so that did really well, and there was quite a few like arguments in the comments of people being like, I'd have Oasis twice, I'm not going to have anyone else,
This might be a very, very broad question, but how is the state of pop nowadays? Because there was a few years ago where if you look at it now, you've got Sabrina Carpenter, you've got Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift and Chappell Roan, and this seems to be this new wave of just solo artists being huge, that if you go back 5 years ago, they weren't around.
No, I think people are starting to move out of music snobbery. I think that's the main thing. People are much more open to liking different genres of music now. I mean, I look back at me when I was at school and I was very tribal. I was like I like bands, I'm not into this kind of pop music, what is this? But secretly deep down I'm a bit like, I actually quite like a good girl band banger. Like I'm not gonna like lie now and say that I absolutely love a good pop tune. And I find that like there's quite a few kind of like pop artists that I really, really like, and I know that I wouldn't have admitted liking, say, like sort of 8-9 years ago,
Yeah. Excellent. Karis Hubbard of Dead Pop Mag Society. Where can we find out more?
So I'm mainly active on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I do sort of like little reels and occasional long form content on there. So go check it out.
Karis,
promo.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, thank you.
And over to you.